Hello everyone and welcome to J Research Academy. We have seen a trend in UGC NET exam that every year at least one question has always been asked from Motor Vehicle Act. And this is the legislation over which we always paid less attention because it wasn't very crucial in our LLB times. But for your NET exam, paying little attention will serve your purpose, will help you to gain 1 to 2 marks and you will be in a safer position. So let's start with the relevant portion of this act. Now let us quickly see what is Motor Vehicle Act. It was passed in year 1988 and it regulates almost all aspects of road transport vehicles. Why? Just to assure public safety and interest. It has got provisions for vehicle insurance, registration of motor vehicles, controlling permits, penalties and others. But for your UGC NET exam, only 3 chapters given under this act are relevant, which is chapter 10, 11 and 12. Only these 3 chapters will come in your exam, right? One more point to be added over here is, there has been a recent amendment made to the Motor Vehicle Act in year 2019 and according to this, there will be omission of chapter 10 and some modifications of chapter 11 and 12 once the certain sections given under the Amendment Act will be notified. So your chapter 10 will be omitted and there will be certain changes made to chapter 11 and 12 when the notification will commence, but it has not been notified yet. So till then, these chapters would continue to operate with full vigor. Now let us start with chapter 10 that talks about no fault liability. What is this principle? So this principle was developed to provide immediate relief to victims or their legal representative in case of any accident caused by motor vehicle which has resulted into death or permanent disability. So this no fault liability is different from strict liability or absolute liability which we have read in the tort law, right? So in tort law, the damages, they are in unliquidated form, they are not pre-decided. But if we talk about no fault liability in case of Motor Vehicle Act, they are fixed, right? The compensation amount is being fixed. So from section 140 to 144, you are going to find the relevant provisions related to the no fault liability. Section 140 speaks about liability of the owner or insurer to pay compensation in certain cases on the principle of no fault. So the amount of compensation paid in case of accident causing death is limited to Rs 50,000, whereas in case of disablement, it is limited to Rs 25,000. And there is no proof required for any wrongful act, neglect or default of the person who has died or who has got disabled, nor by the owner of the vehicle, because this is the principle of no fault liability. And he can be made liable under other law in force subject to section 163A. So say this section 163A provides for a special provision as to the payment of compensation based on structured formula. Now we have section 142 that talks about the permanent disablement. So basically it refers to the type of injury or injuries which has been occurred due to the accident which we have referred under section 140. So these 3 types of injuries will be considered to be the disablement to claim a compensation under section 140. According to section 140, this chapter 10 will also apply to the death or the permanent disablement of any person who is covered under Workmen's Compensation Act 1923. So these were 3 relevant sections out of chapter 10. Now we have chapter 11, which talks about the insurance of motor vehicles against third-party risk. So what is third-party insurance? Basically, it protects the interest of third party who has become the victim of the accident or has been injured by the fault of the insured person or by the owner of that vehicle. So any liability arising on the insured by the third party is being mitigated by whom? By the insurance company. And this third party insurance is made to be compulsory under Motor Vehicle Act 1988. So the present chapter 11 will undergo certain modifications, certain changes once the notification gets published in the official gadget. But till then we have to rely on the old provisions. So according to section 146, what does it say? It talks about basically the necessity for insurance against third party risk. So it is basically talking about the compulsory insurance which the owner of every motor vehicle is bound to take. Against whom? Against third party risk, and any contravention to this provision will attract punishment which is given under section 196. So section 147 talks about the requirement of third party insurance and the amount of liability it would be covering. So first of all, it must be issued by the person who is an authorized insurer. So who is this authorized insurer? He is a person who is carrying on insurance business under the General Insurance Business Act 1972. And he must insure the person who is being specified in the policy to the extent of the liability which has been incurred or damage to a third party, which is up to 6,000 rupees. So the amount which is being given over here, it is being modified, but yes, it is yet to be notified, right? Because these amounts are so meager that they are not enough to cover the medical expenses. So yes, the modification has been completely done, and let's see when it will commence. So from section 161 to 163, you are going to find the relevant provisions related to the hit and run cases. And the compensation amount which is given under section 161 in case of death and in case of grievous hurt, it has been increased to a certain amount, but yes, it is yet to be notified. So we have to rely on the old provision for the purpose of our exam. Section 161 talks about the compensation in case of hit and run motor accident. So the compensation amount is being fixed, right? So if the death has been occurred, 25,000 will be given. In case of grievous hurt, 12,500 will be given. And this grievous hurt has got a same meaning which is given under the IPC. Who is going to pay the compensation? The General Insurance Corporation of India, which is formed under section 9 of General Insurance Business Act 1972, or any other insurance companies. So the amount of compensation which is paid under section 161 by the General Insurance Corporation, it must be refunded back to them, right, according to section 162. Whereas according to section 163, the scheme for the payment of compensation could get notified by the central government at the Gazette from time to time. So these three sections, they were related to the hit and run cases. Now the last topic is Claims Tribunal, which is given in your syllabus. Right? So under chapter 12, you are going to find the relevant provisions relating to the Claims Tribunal. Why it is formed? For cheaper and speedier remedy to the victims of accidents of motor vehicles. Right? These Claims Tribunals can follow summary procedure, and an appeal from the decision of Claims Tribunal lies directly to the High Court. According to section 165, a state government may by notification in the official Gazette constitute one or more claim tribunal in that area, right? And what kind of cases it will deal with? It will adjudicate upon claims for compensation in respect of accidents involving death or bodily injury or damages to any property of a third person by use of this motor vehicle. So all these type of cases, the Claims Tribunal will entertain. Now the other part of section 165 deals with the constitution of Claims Tribunal. Right? So where there are two or more members, one of them shall be appointed as a chairman, right? So the eligibility regarding the member is being given under this section, right? So a judge of a high court or district judge or a person who is qualified for the appointment as a judge of high court, all these categories of persons shall be appointed as members of Claims Tribunal. So section 166 deals with the application for compensation. In this, you are going to find that which person or which party is eligible to apply for compensation. So first is the injured person or the owner of the vehicle or the legal representative of the deceased person, right? And the fourth is by any agent who has been duly authorized by the person injured. Clause 2 to section 166 discusses about the jurisdiction of Claims Tribunal. So every application shall be made at the option of the claimant, either to the Claims Tribunal having jurisdiction over the area in which accident occurred, or within the local limits of whose jurisdiction the claimant resides or carries on its business, or within the local limits of whose jurisdiction the defendant resides. Now the next important section is section 168 that describes about the award of the Claims Tribunal. So after receiving the application for compensation made under section 166, which we have just discussed, the Claims Tribunal shall, after giving notice to the application to the insurer and after giving the parties an opportunity of being heard, shall hold an inquiry and determine the amount of compensation. And after determining the compensation, the person who is required to pay any amount shall, within 30 days of the date of announcing the award, must deposit the entire amount awarded in such a manner as the tribunal may direct. So the next important section is section 173 that talks about appeal. So according to this, any person aggrieved by an award of claims tribunal may, within 90 days from the date of award, prefer an appeal to the High Court, right? So it's High Court, not the Supreme Court. Provided the appellant is required to deposit 25,000 rupees or 50% of the amount so awarded, whichever is less, right, in a manner as it has been directed by the High Court. One more point which one must remember is that no appeal shall lie against any award of claims tribunal if the amount in dispute in the appeal is less than 10,000 rupees. So now this amount has been raised up to 1 lakh, but it is again not yet notified. So the amount is still should be remembered as 10,000 rupees for the purpose of examination. So lastly, keep one thing in your mind while preparing Motor Vehicle Act for UGC NET exam is that so far only sectional based question has been asked. So just try to concentrate upon the section number and what does it convey, right? And for this act, you don't have to go through each and every sections which has been given in chapter 10, 11 and 12. Just pick out the important ones which I have tried to cover in this video. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and share this and subscribe with Juris Academy to get the further updates.